this is Roger, thanks for dropping by. Just set up my resting Dendrobiums for their proper part of the rest. So just have a quick look around essential tools. Steaming cup of coffee, absolutely essential. All this stuff, I didn't need half of it. Raw plugs, my bonsai wire, wire cutters, pliers for the same, hammer, screwdriver for marking, that's the one with the blade. Got too many hooks, so I've got a couple of left over. Tape measure, because although it's only a wire up in a bedroom, I still like it the same distance from the ceiling and all that stuff. Set of drills, only needed one. And there they all are, nicely silhouetted for you. In my brightest window, which on a dull, dreary, drizzly day like we've got today, doesn't really look that bright, but it's as bright as I can get. And effectively the next brightest thing would be outside the other side of the glass, and I can't do that because we get well below freezing, although not today. Right, some of these haven't got tags, so I'll be testing my memory, but starting down the bottom here, this was the one with the funny name, something like Isla or Isla, which was on the tag, which I don't believe is correct. But I thought, given that I'm pretty sure it's based on unicum and some other things like it, I thought, well, it probably won't hurt by having a rest. But as I brought it upstairs, it's got nubbins on some of the canes, so it's already starting to bud. So that's decided to go ahead without a proper rest. But I still think chilling it down a little bit will probably push out more buds than it would have done anyway, if you know what I mean. This thing, I knew this was going to be a problem. This is that Nestor, which is an Osman cross, that pushed out that ridiculously long cane. And I can't hang that, it's too long. So I thought, well, the next best thing is to literally lay it along the windowsill. It's the cane that's important to get the light and the chill, not really the pot. So that's just sat on the windowsill and propped up on a bucket. So I'll do pop-ups with blooms of those that have, because some of these have. I'm just hoping to get more by resting them properly. Just while we're there on the subject, that's that Cymbidium I repotted. I don't really want that, but I sort of feel obliged. But it has actually got some new roots pushing out at the base of the new growth. So not dead yet, but that does actually have, well, I'll say had fusarium. It's been treated with a fungicide, so in theory the fusarium's dead. But it does need another spray to make absolutely sure, because that's a horrible thing to have lying around, as we all know. Okay, right, we'll start up here. And I know I'm looking at silhouettes at the moment, but as I bring them down, I should be able to brighten up the video as I process it. So this one is, I've forgotten, that's Gentianum, and that really is a black hair type. It's an incredibly weak plant. It was just a couple of kikis that I decided to mount, and they did push out some roots originally, but they haven't done it for a while. And that is the sole new growth from last year, that one with the leaves on. So giving it a chill down now may kickstart new growths at the base, but we'll have to wait and see. I think that one's bloomed for me, but any that have bloomed I'll put pop-ups. You go back up there. I've had to turn all the hooks sideways because they're all too big. I don't need to get this thing down. We've looked at this one many times recently, and it's grown fantastically this year. All I need to do now is get the dratted thing to bloom, and I'll put the pop up because I've forgotten what it's called. Friedrichianum, I think, but I'll confirm. Now this one I wasn't going to rest. This is effectively Jenkinsii I crossed with something else, aggregatum. And because it's a relatively young plant, I wasn't going to bother resting it, I was going to grow it on. But I thought, well, in for a penny, in for a pound. There are mature pseudobulbs on there that are flowering size, so I've decided to give it a go. I just wish I hadn't watered it this morning as a consequence, because if I'm not going to rest a Dendrobium, it does get some water in the winter. That one actually had a soak this morning. I shouldn't have done that, but As I said, I wasn't planning on that one coming up here. Right, let's have a look at this one next. What have we got here then? This has got no tag. Again, I will look it up because I know the ones in my notes that haven't got tags, and it's a process of elimination. I'll know which ones I've filmed that I know the names of, and these will be the ones left over. But again, I'm not sure. This one's had blooms on it, looking at the stumps on some of the spikes. It's not a strong plant, but this is not a large growing Dendrobium. So we'll have to wait and see what the rest does to that. Wait and see time. Get back up there. I've had to get these so that they don't touch the glass, obviously, because on a really cold night where it goes down well below freezing, the glass on the, can get incredibly cold. This is the one with the strange bulbous canes, and this one hasn't bloomed for me, so this one needs to do its stuff now. As I say, this is the best I can do for a rest, so if this doesn't do it, then this just isn't going to bloom. It's as simple as that. It's mature enough, it should bloom after this rest. And that one's Lynnham. And I love the plant, but I want to see some blooms. So let's pop that one back up. Ooh! And then we got the squash grape plant. Everybody loves this one. This is a mature plant. This is well over blooming size. This should have bloomed last year and the year before. Can't remember quite how long I've had it, but it's pushed out a lot of new growth, and now it needs to bloom. That's its next thing to do, not just sit there putting out loads of new growth. And that is the Jenkinsii I, that is the actual species. So it's a good plant. I love the plant. Very strange pseudobulbs. Literally they grow, and as the leaf expands and opens, the pseudobulbs start to crinkle. That's just how they are. It just reminds me of raisins or squash grapes or something like that. Now bloom. It's your time. Right, then we've got some hanging type things. This one is Glomeratum. This does have wonderful blooms. I can do this in the window actually. That was a cane that I grew on through last winter, and it's still got some of its leaves. This was the new cane that I grew this year, so that's this summer's growth. I'm hoping to get blooms on both of those canes. These little tiny ones here are highly unlikely to bloom. They are literally at least 2 years old, so I don't think those are going to go. And then he stands on his perch, taking life and limb in hand. This is my Osman Alba, I think. Was it tag's hiding? Well, it is, I know it is. Already there's a sign of a bud. I'll have to back up because this thing don't focus close. So this has already got a bud showing. So I'm beginning to wonder whether I really need to bother with all this flipping rest and just take a degree or two off the grow room. But then I have got plants in there that are going to suffer if I do that. Anyway, that's an Osman. It's the Alba. Actually, it's a semi-Alba version. And that is not my cat lurking out there. That's the one that my two cats fight with. He's a nosy little thing. He keeps coming in our garden. And he gets promptly escorted off the premises. Hello, acrobatic cat. Nice one. This is Lynnham. Now, the blooms on this are lovely. All I've got to do is get some. But it's grown several nice new canes this year. This back end up here are all very old canes. They were there when I got it, and they quite honestly are probably not serving much of a purpose now. So once I get this to bloom, I'm getting positive now. I've already seen some buds and haven't really started properly yet. But if I get this one to bloom okay, then next year following those blooms I should get a pretty good burst of new growth, and at that point some of those tatty old canes can probably come off. But we'll see how we go. Let's get the bloom bit done first, shall we? Right, you can go there. Sort of. So I say I'm trying to keep the canes as close to the glass as possible. Now this one is sad. I'm disappointed because I don't know why. But this is senile, and I loved that plant. And that lovely new growth sticking out towards the back, the small one, has shriveled and died. it also pushed a kiki out the bottom that did the same thing. Now those 3 little growths are now a year old, and I know they look half dead, but they can potentially bloom. And the only sensible new growth left is the big strong one. But even that's lost its leaves, and I'm still not absolutely sure whether that's supposed to happen or whether I'm actually losing the plant. Now what I did with this, the moss was breaking down, so I hooked a lot of the moss out, and it promptly pushed out some new roots towards the bark. It pushed out that lovely long one and some others down into the back, and then they stopped growing, and then it all seemed to sort of grind to a halt. So I have a theory that I could just be growing the whole plant too warm in the summer, and it just doesn't like that heat. You have to bear in mind some dendrobiums come from quite high altitude, so they never ever get that warm, summer or winter. You know, they're just cooler in the winter, but they never get real heat because of their elevation, and that is quite an important factor. Right, so that's it. As I say, that's the setup. This is a spare bedroom. Nobody's going to live in here, and if they do, they'll have to put up the plants in the window and not being able to draw the blind at night. Tough. Plants come first, and in theory they're going to be here probably 3, 4, maybe 5 weeks. It just depends what happens. You have to bear in mind, I haven't done this before. This is a first, so it's not an experiment. I do know what I'm doing, but you know, this is the best rest they can get. Let's keep them all facing the light before I walk out. So that's it. That's the setup. Where's my doodah? You know what I mean, it's a technical term. Doodah. That's a doodah. Everybody should have a doodah. I've got several. Now at the moment, see, it's 18 degrees in here, but I've had the door open quite a bit because I've obviously walked out a lot, and heat from the rest of the house has drifted in here. But looking at, that's as high as it's got so far. Too warm, but that would have been when the sun came in. And that's as cool as it's got, 14.5. Now I'd like to drop at least 2 or 3 degrees off of that, but I'm totally dependent on the weather, and it will be just my luck now to get the mildest January we've ever had in history, and I can't drop the temperatures as much as I want. But what can you do? I'm not getting a cooling unit or anything silly like this. This is it. This is what they're gonna get. Okay. Been promising this for a while, and that's it. And quite honestly, I won't be visiting them very often now. I'll probably look in on them maybe once a week with my little sprayer and maybe give a few the tiniest drop of water. They haven't had any feed now for probably 5 to 6 weeks. They have had a dribble of water, gradually reducing from the point I stopped feeding to where I am now, which is next to nothing. I don't believe in nothing at all. That's not my way. I think I'd kill my plants. The only other thing I've got to worry about in here is obviously the humidity is going to be quite a bit lower than it would have been in the grow room. But they're resting. That, you know, they don't necessarily need it. They're not dormant, they're resting. There is a difference. Hell of a difference, quite honestly. So that's it. And I'll keep you posted. As I said, there's already a couple of nubbins showing in places, but as they progress, I'll keep you posted. They'll keep me posted too. I'm really interested in what's going to happen now. And if this works, this will be an annual event. And in subsequent years, you know, the hooks are already done, the holes drilled, everything's ready to go. All I've got to do is set the plants up. So I can get them done earlier in the year, if you know what I mean. I'm always going to have visitors at Christmas, and this room is in use. I'll have a word with the individual, bearing in mind it's my youngest son, and those sort of people go to sleep anywhere, anytime. So I don't think having plants in the room would affect him that much. The only problem is I wouldn't have the radiator on, so it would be a cold room. We'll chuck another cover on the bed. We'll deal with that as and when next year comes round. So that's it. Thanks for my resting theories over the periods of time that have led to this. As I say, my theories might be a little different to others. This stopping all watering and feeding on whatever it is, end of November right through till halfway through February is not my way, and I don't think it ever will be. So mine is not as harsh, but let's see if it works. Okay, see you next time when the next posting comes up. Bye for now.